Hey guys, what's going on? It's Terp17, joined as always by my co-host, Surelock. Surelock, what is going on?
Not too much, just playing some MLB The Show.
Maybe a little too much MLB The Show?
Maybe a little bit too much.
Send help.
Please.
So what we're going to talk about today is some of the similarities and differences that we have found and discovered in MLB The Show compared to the real-life counterpart that is baseball.
Sure.
Now, we wanted to wait a little bit before we put out this video because we wanted, to make sure that this game had enough time to mature and get all the kinks out and any patches that need to happen, because it's not fair to compare a day one game to
the more end product. Sure.
Exactly. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it.
All right.
So right off the bat, we're going to talk about something that has both some similarities and differences, and that is pitcher's release point.
Absolutely. We'll start off with MLB The Show.
Okay.
And then we'll transition into regular baseball. So,
okay.
In MLB The Show, each pitcher has one release point.
Uno.
Yep. Now, mind you, it's different for different pitchers, and I think that actually is one of the things they do right in this game.
True.
Is the hard pitchers to hit in real life
are hard to hit
in the game, like Carter Capps, Pat Neshek, yes.
Cueto.
Yep, Kershaw too.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things I don't like, however, is how all of the pitches have the same release point.
This is true. I've noticed that too, which makes it very difficult to hit off-speed pitches in this game. Because normally you can judge a pitch, the way it's coming in real life at least, by where the release point is. A release point for a curveball is different than a release point for a four-seam fastball, which is different for a release point than a changeup, and so on and so on and so on. Each individual pitch has their own individual release point, which batters are trained to look for.
Absolutely. Like, one of the things my coaches were experimenting with and heard about was how you have a flat hand when you release a fastball or a changeup, and you can see when you release, you can see most of the hand facing the hitter, and you can look at the wrists, you can look at the hands, whatever. But on a breaking ball or a like a curveball or a slider, since the hand is going to be turned at release point, you see a thinner hand, You see a thinner wrist. And that's one of the things that is not the easiest thing to pick up immediately, but if you're training yourself to look for it, and it can really help in real life, your pitch recognition.
Now, of course, it is a video game, so it is a little difficult to switch in some things like that, and it's even more difficult to pick up in some instances if you don't have the best TV or the biggest television, or you're not playing on a computer screen where you can look real close at it.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean it's not a difference that is important.
Yep.
It makes, like I said before, hitting curveballs and other off-speed pitches extremely difficult because they have the same release point as a fastball.
Yep.
And so you have to look more at ball rotation and ball movement off the hand than you do just the release point. Now, it's not to say in real life you don't do those things, because you still do.
Definitely.
But it's even more stressed in this game because that seems to be the main focus on how to focus on
what pitch is coming and where it's going.
Exactly. And that's something that is important to both this game and to baseball in general. And I like that it's in there. I like that there is something you have to focus on, because it makes it more realistic in the sense that it's not just hitting a button.
Definitely.
It's not just like...
It's not just, okay, here's a
green
hitting.
marker hit.
Yeah.
It's like, get it in between the two zones and hit it perfectly and get it hit every time.
Exactly.
I don't like that. Yeah. I like the fact that you actually have to time it a little bit, but the fact that the timing's different is something that we had to talk about.
Definitely.
Okay, so I got an interesting little fact for you.
What's that?
So the first umpire came into play at around the 1860s.
Okay.
For MLB. And of course, we all know the history of the MLB is very important to MLB The Show.
Sure.
And one thing that they got incredibly right in this was the tradition of the umpires not being able to find the strike zone.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can have pitches inside the strike zone be called balls. You can have pitches outside the strike zone be called balls. You can have pitches inside the strike zone be called balls. You can have pitches inside the strike zone be called strikes. They don't know what they're doing.
And the best part is, that's probably the most accurate part of the entire game.
100%. I mean, I kind of wish that they would give more corners more frequently. Like, if the ball clips a corner in real life, it's a strike. If you hit the glove perfectly, more times than not, you're going to be given a strike.
Frame job.
Exactly. That's crucial, and I wish they added that aspect. I know they added it as like when you're catching, but it's not the same.
No, it's not. And the thing that you see that really bugs me in terms of differences is that it takes the art out of pitching in MLB The Show 16.
I think so too.
In the sense that when you're playing against AI, you have to pitch for the strike zone.
Yep.
And that's, of course, that changes a little bit if you have a pitcher with a high Ks per 9 and a high hits per 9 stat. That's going to change. So obviously a 99 Clayton Kershaw is going to breeze through
most lineups.
But most people aren't pitching with a 99 diamond level Kershaw. Most people are pitching with a lot of high 70s, low 80s guys.
At least the first, yeah.
Yes. And even if you have a couple of the bigger guys, you still might have one or two little guys in there that, you're just keeping along for the ride like we do. We have a couple of guys that we just like personally.
Yep.
And
we don't want to get rid of Bartolo or Lucas Giolito, and we like him for some reason.
And we find that when we pitch with them in like conquest mode against AI, they're much more difficult to pitch with.
Yep. And for some reason, the AI somehow knows how to lay off pitches that are like borderline. And I know you can change this in the sliders, but when you're playing conquest mode, you can't change the sliders. But I know you can watch some sort of hitting tutorial or whatever, it's also on YouTube, and you'll hear a lot of people say, avoid the upper third of the plate for two reasons. One, because this game induces a lot of pop flies, no matter how perfectly you barrel a pitch in the top of the strike zone. And then also, a lot of the pitches in the top of the strike zone are called balls, even when they're completely in the strike zone. I've seen it a lot. I see it in Conquest a lot.
Meanwhile, they're very apt to give you the low strike, at least in some situations. I've definitely got more low strike calls than I have gotten high.
Oh, definitely.
And how crucial is the high fastball?
I mean, it's a really good setup pitch. It has the thing is, if you eliminate certain parts of the strike zone, it completely changes the way you pitch. One of the things that we're preached to is you change eye level, you work in and out, and if you can't work up, then the hitter's only going to look like middle of the plate down. You're set as a hitter. Sure, it's in real life it's easier to hit the high stuff, but if you know that this guy can only throw middle down, and if I lay off anything up, I'm fine. That eliminates so much of like the issues that can cause outs.
Now, obviously, in online mode, it's a little different, and I think actually when you're playing against real people, it's more realistic in the pitcher's sense, because the person you're playing will generally extend the strike zone themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
By what they swing at.
Absolutely.
And that's where the art form comes back into it a little bit. And of course, that's not so much what MLB The Show Steam does, but rather what your opponent is doing. Whereas now I can actually implement, changing eye level, changing spots, changing speed, all that. I can do that more effectively in online mode because I'm pitching to another human being who's going to be thinking like a human being and not running through a whole bunch of permutations that a computer's doing, thinking, oh, well, the likelihood that they're going to throw this is this, and it's likely going to be here.
Exactly, sure. Whatever calculations.
And one of the things
lead to AI
that we're going to talk about now, which I think they got really, really perfectly, is shifts.
Yep.
The shift, as we know in Major League Baseball, has gone through the roof. Everyone's doing it. It's a cool thing now.
Yeah, every single team does it, and the analytics are right there to support it. The amount of hits that get taken away, especially from the really heavy pull guys, is just...
It's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the one thing where it differs in MLB The Show is not really MLB The Show's fault, but more us as players' fault, is that online bunting is through the roof.
Yeah.
And because of that, the shift is not as effective as it should be because you're forced to basically play bunt defense or third base cover drag the entire time. Even when you got someone like David Ortiz up, who's never going to bunt ever. And if he does bunt, it's some weird...
Yeah, it would literally be one of the weirdest things to ever see David Ortiz bunt.
Yet, a David Ortiz bunt, while in traditional shift for David Ortiz, will get him on base more times than it won't.
Oh, absolutely. Even though I think he has like zero bunting ability, actually, and he'll still, if you get that bunt down soon enough and you use your left stick to aim it to the third base side, and he has that heavy pull shift to the right, it's a hit almost every time.
But you're right, they do a good job in showing the shift now.
Yeah, I really think they incorporate that well, and I think they even use it pretty well, and they automatically implement it for certain players.
And of course, when we talk about the shift, we're also talking about the fielders themselves.
Absolutely.
Now, the fielders, for me at least, have some similarities that I love and some similarities that are different. One of the things I love is that you will find chemistry between two guys in terms of turning double plays.
Sure.
We found that ourselves when we moved people around, and we found out that a lower ranked guy for us, which was Jose Reyes, was actually a better tandem for our shortstop in terms of turning double plays than what it had been previously with a gold guy.
Yeah, like we had Jose Reyes and Francisco Lindor turn double plays beautifully. And then we had Francisco Lindor and D. Gordon, and not really a great double play.
Very
tandem.
hitchy.
Yes, it was very rare that we'd turn double plays even on the slowest guys.
And even if we did turn a double play, it was a very forced double play.
It didn't look smooth.
And that's something that I love, that I don't know if it was by accident or whatever, but in real life there's that too. Look at my team. I'm a Mets fan, and you see what they did with their middle infield when they, essentially got rid of Ruben Tejada and Daniel Murphy, and they put in Asdrubal Cabrera and Neil Walker. Yep. And you saw the chemistry there, which allows...
And they're both fantastic middle infielders.
Exactly, but you see the chemistry that allows for the quick shifts in throwing position, in the quick plays.
Transitions and so on and so forth.
Which is, I love that they somehow found a way to incorporate that. The one thing that I don't like about this MLB The Show really over-exaggerates how good fielders are.
I think they do and they don't. Their outfielders are more times than not absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
I think their outfielders can track almost any ball down that's hit between the foul lines. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
I agree.
The infielders, however, I think could use some work.
Yeah, yes. The infielders, for me, it seems they miss a lot of, especially third baseman specifically, plays on the line.
Oh, yeah.
No one takes prep steps.
Yeah,
which is huge.
That's my biggest gripe. You watch a game, I mean, it's something that you don't know unless you play baseball or you really pay attention. But before every single play, right as the pitcher gets into his motion, you see 1-2 step and a hop usually, and that gets the fielder really on his toes, ready to move laterally, and you see it result in making some ridiculous plays. Like, I mean, Dustin Pedroia, if you watch him, he jumps so high off the ground because it gets him ready, gets him on his toes, and he's one of the best second basemen in the game. And I think that would be another little cool thing to add that makes it personal for players.
And actually going into that, we'll end on this note. Going into a little more personality-wise and more personal to each player, one thing that you see in real life is that during a crucial moment, everyone's up on the stairs of the dugout. Even in not crucial moments, they're up on the stairs, they're up on the railing. But in critical moments, they're up on the railing. They got rally caps on. People are, banging, banging the rail, or and you don't see that in MLB The Show. And I would love to see that. I would love to see.
Like, one thing I would like to see as well, to build off of that, is like celebrations, kind of. You saw in the MLB The 17 The Show trailer that they had some cool celebrations. They have a selfie stick, etc., etc. But I think like when you hit doubles or triples, like how you can in FIFA, how if you do a certain combination, you can get a certain celebration. Same thing in NHL. I think if they incorporate that, like after doubles or triples, it would add just a little bit more to the game, and I think that would be really cool.
But all in all, I think they did do a really good job with this game. Obviously, there's a lot more we can go into. In fact, we will be releasing a podcast of essentially this in the not too distant future, going more in depth about similarities and stuff. We hope you enjoyed this video. Adrian Beltre, as you can see, is our hero.
Yep, came back, really great game, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Hey guys, it's Terps17
and Surelock,
and we just wanted to thank you for watching our video today.
Really meant a lot.
If you guys want to check out some of our other videos, that link's going to be
here.
And if you guys want to subscribe, that link's going to be
there.
Also, make sure you hit that like button and comment in the comment section below.
Yep, we really want to get to know you guys, but you know what? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Anyway, have a wonderful day, y'all.